Thanks, LP. I'm humbled. So, welcome to everybody here, my fellow M2M enthusiasts. And without really taking much of time, we are already running late for almost half an hour. So, what we'll do is we'll try to stick to our timelines. I think most of the speakers have already received their timelines, and we'll try to stick to those timings and see to it that we have a smooth day for us, and we are able to hear from everybody. So there is a slight change in the program. Probably you all have received the agenda for the day. So. Dr. Ganpati, he is basically, he has to travel, and he is one of the lead speakers in the first of the panel. And I would like to invite Mr. Ganpati. He is currently the president of Apollo Telemedicine Networking Foundation. He is adjunct faculty at IIT Madras. He is the member of National Task Force on Telemedicine and founder of Telemedicine Society of India. So, I would like to welcome and invite him for a small speech.
Good morning, everybody. At the outset, my sincere apologies for slightly dislocating this program. Unfortunately, we are 40 minutes late. Now, 900 seconds is obviously impossible for one to talk on M2M, even in the very restricted area of healthcare. I will try to take you with me on a journey which I'm absolutely sure every one of us is going to go through. When I got interested in M2M a few years ago, I thought my grandchildren will be able to see this. I never ever thought that I would live to see this. Today, ladies and gentlemen, you know that the 7.5 billion Homo sapiens in this world has got competition. And today we have 18 billion mobile-to-mobile interconnected devices. The statistics are overwhelming. Probably in the next few years is going to become even more. Creating tomorrow's healthcare, I think the new era is beginning. The world is on the move. Yesterday I read in the newspaper TRAI's report that 76%, is unbelievable, 76% of internet in India, a developing country, third world country, etc., is being accessed through the mobile network. This is India today, local statistics. I always believe that one industry which is absolutely recession-proof is the healthcare industry. Even if the economy goes down, I can live without cars, I can live without air conditioners, but ladies and gentlemen, whether you like it or not, you have to go to a hospital before you are born and even after you die, because your stem cells and even sperms and ova can be used. So this is one industry which, if the M2M enthusiasts ignore, they are doing it at their own peril. Today, 14% as per statistics of M2M is for the healthcare industry, and this is going to steadily increase. I love this American phrase DIY, do it yourself. And on the lower left-hand side of the screen, you can see an ultrasound being done by a patient himself. Gone are the days when blood sugar used to be done by somebody, and today we have point-of-care diagnostics, which I'll show you in a minute. Cholesterol, triglyceride, lipid profile, the whole works can be done. I personally am very happy that in a few years I certainly will not be practicing medicine because I don't think I'll have a job at all. The entire healthcare ecosystem, as you call it, is changing. The healthcare is being taken out of hospitals. And today, your pocket is being converted to a laboratory. Your pocket is a hospital. Hospital at home. A hospital in the future is going to be the last step, perhaps to do a liver transplant, perhaps to do a cardiac transplant, certainly not for evaluating even blood pressure or diabetes. All this will be at the comfort of your home. Riding the ICT wave, information and communication technology is what is going to change the way healthcare is. And I'm particularly happy that India is not at all in the back. We are not even piggybacking the West. We are actually leapfrogging. 10 years ago, it would have been impossible to have medical doctors like me on the adjunct faculty of IIT, Anna University, etc. The distinction between medicine and engineering and technology and ICT is becoming less and less, and this is what is going to happen. But I am concerned. I belong to the BC era, before computers and before Christ are one and the same. I was the last neurosurgeon in this country who was trained before the CT scan came. Sometimes with enthusiasts like you, no offense meant, it is because of people like you that M2M has come what it is today. Are we developing a technology and going in search of an application? I think it should be the other way about. The healthcare provider like me should come to you and tell you, sir, this is what we want, please help us. But today, I think it's the other way about. I didn't realize that this audience are M2M experts, so I just put this, that in the field of healthcare, what is M2M? We use a device. This could be implanted or it could be a surface sensor. This captures an event. Let's say blood pressure, blood sugar, EEG, ECG, ENMG, etc., etc. And this signal is relayed through a network. The network could be a wired network, could be a wireless network, could be a hybrid network to an application, a software program that translates the captured event. What does it matter to a doctor when I see hundreds and thousands of the so-called big data which everybody is talking about? I mean, I don't want 10,000 blood pressure recordings per day, which is what your sensors are now giving me, which is what your programs are now giving me. All I want to know is my patient a hypertensive or not? Should he be treated or not? And therefore, this useless data, I need to take out what is significant, what is meaningful in this, and this is be analyzed by an AIS or an artificial intelligence system, and later on only this goes to a physician, where the physician introduces corrective measures. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, we're going out of a job, and today it is not even brought to the notice of the physician. You have algorithms and flowcharts which determine that when insulin is to be released from a depot pump preparation which is implanted into your body. A one-to-one connection is changed into a system of networks that transmit data with reduced power, reduced time for intercommunication. Wearable technology. It is foreseen that this is going to be the next big innovation in healthcare. And again, wearable technology is already being done in bits and pieces, even in India. When anything new is developing, we love to use the word pilot. Personally, and I can talk with some authority, I think there are more pilots in telemedicine, digital health, e-health than there are in the Indian Air Force. I think we suffer from a disease called pilotitis. We are very successful in doing pilot studies, proof of concept validation, but we are just unable to make it a part, to escalate it, to make it a part of the healthcare delivery system. The slide on the right, again, as I said, I shudder to think how people of my generation are going to practice medicine. I can't even understand half the words here, and this is how medicine of the future is going to be. Now, again, a report which says that this year alone, 90 million wearable devices in healthcare. Just think about it. 90 million wearable devices are being exported. We are not talking of forecast. We are talking of this year in 2014. And what are these wireless implantable devices? Delhi, Chennai, Thiruvananthapuram, Bombay, Bangalore, Ahmedabad. I can rattle off at least 15 centers in India today which do deep brain stimulation, where we put an electrode inside the brain for Parkinsonism and other conditions. Again, we have a host of other technological devices which already are being used in India, but of course the numbers are very small. It's just a question of time before the numbers become bigger and bigger. Now let's look at the world market. The size of the balloon says it all, and you can see that in the healthcare is probably the largest. Healthcare and medical is the single largest area where M2M devices are being going to used. Of course, this brings in its wake lots of problems. We are now talking of privacy and security. You all know about Snowden. You know how they end Obama's the National Defense Council in the United States itself was invaded by hackers. Today, we are worried that a pacemaker which is implanted inside you, if I don't like you, I just get a geek and he does a software program and he can wirelessly alter the way in which the pacemaker functions. So we are now talking of security for implanted wearable devices and how does this function, etc. It is for, as per the present statistics, Chennai, where I live in, 2040, which is not too far away, hopefully I'll still be alive. So in 2040, every fifth person in the city of Chennai is going to be above the age of 60. Senior citizens. 1/5 of India are going to be senior citizens by 2050. And at the moment, we have 1 million centenarians. And this probably is going to become much higher. So what does this mean so far as M2M is concerned? With a geriatric population, you are going to have smart homes. Today, smart homes are a reality, particularly in Northern Europe, Australia, and several other countries. In India, the traditional joint family is disintegrating. My children are in the US, and it's very unlikely that when we become older, we will have anybody to look after us. And more, you find smart homes. I don't have time to go into the details, but this is what it is. Contact lens. Would anybody have dreamt? Of course, there is a lot of hype in this. I'm not saying no. But then this may take several years to become a reality. Google themselves have said it will take 5 years before it becomes commercially viable. But then the writing is on the wall. Wear a contact lens, and the contact lens will automatically, wirelessly send not blood sugar, but send the sugar values in your aqueous humor, vitreous humor, in your tears, etc. And without your knowledge, a server somewhere, God knows where, will make out that the sugar values are higher and will give instructions to a depot preparation which is implanted in your thigh to release the appropriate antibiotic. This is not science fiction. This is already happening. Google Glass is becoming used more and more in operation theaters to transmit it, and you can see there are so many things like this. Non-adherence, non-compliance is a major issue seldom spoken about in the management both of diabetes, seizure disorder, hypertension, in fact all chronic diseases. The NCDs, or non-communicable diseases, are going to be the major factor why India's GDP is not going to increase. And this is relatively simple. To ensure compliance and adherence, you have a sensor, you have a chip, and if you don't take the tablets in time, you will get a message that you have not taken the tablet. Not only that, when your tablets are being consumed, at the end of the day, it's all ROI. It's all vitamin M. Or every one of these things happen only because somebody gets a dividend. At the end of the day, we are all hypocrites. We are not interested so much in wiping the tears of suffering humanity. It sounds nice to listen to all this, but at the end of the day, it's ROI, ROI, ROI. That's what you want. And here, automatically a signal goes to the neighborhood pharmacy. The pharmacist is told that such and such a capsule in such and such a place, GPRS, you know exactly where it is, a refill is due, please go and fill it up, and that is how this adherence is ensured. 10 years ago, I said that the stethoscope would die. Nobody ever believed me, and I have published this in a paper as well. Last couple of weeks, there are several papers which have shown that over the next 4 to 5 years, maybe 10 years, certainly the stethoscope will no longer be a symbol of the medical profession, what has been a symbol for 200 years. Why? Because why do you want to make a cardiac or a respiratory diagnosis by hearing sounds? You may be having wax in your ear, you may not be able to hear it. Today, thanks to M2M, you have absolutely fantastic devices which can do an echocardiogram, which can functionally evaluate the competence of the atrium, the ventricle, the oxygen in the blood, the venous blood and the arterial blood. What used to be done in big laboratories and big hospitals today is available at the bedside. And again, you can see a wristband which transforms a wearer's heartbeat into a unique password. And this is what is going to happen. All this is already happening. Will my grandchildren be like this? I don't think so, because I think my children are going to be like this. I don't think I have to wait till my grandchildren to become like this. And this, whether you like it or not, is going to happen and be a part of the way in which we dress maybe 10 or 15 years from now. Again, just to show you that I'm not talking theory, I'm not talking science fiction. About 8 months ago, I introduced what we have patented it as ICU. Today at the Apollo hospitals in Chennai, at the main ICU where we have 120 beds, the largest ICU in the country, 29 of the cubicles have been fitted with a networked camera, and today we are discouraging physical visits to the ICU. People from all over the world, of course, we have put in a very high level of privacy and security. Only authorized people can make these virtual visits, but an authorized person from anywhere in the world with an internet connection can switch on the camera, pan, tilt, zoom, focus, do that, do this, etc. And more than 800 people have used this, and there's very little of human intervention. 915 million mobile phones in this country. 20% of them are smartphones. What better way to deliver healthcare than through this? And already the technology is available. Your phone can literally prevent blindness. Again, it is Indian students, it is Indians who are doing this everywhere. At Harvard University, an Indian group at Boston MIT, they have developed this program so that you can do your own optometry, you can prescribe your own glasses and so on. For lack of time, I'm not going into the details. Now, I think technology is again letting me down. You are supposed to have heard a nice cough at this time, but the technology is letting me down. Anyhow, so cough into a phone. What happened? Cough into a phone and get a, there's one more slide. I think you don't like my talk, that's why you have even, somebody has sabotaged the last slide. Okay, doesn't matter. So the last slide was supposed, can you just get, presentation is not yet ready, complete, last slide. Okay, this should have shown you how you can cough into a phone and get, the audio is not coming. Okay, doesn't matter. You cough into a phone and get a diagnosis with acoustic vocalization software. So ladies and gentlemen, this is the future. I could go on and on, but I don't think it's fair for me to encroach on the time of others. And so I will stop with this. What is the take-home message? If I am to summarize my talk, the take-home message is, even at the cost of sounding, I don't know, obnoxious maybe, I would like to say there is no M2M without the healthcare industry, and M2M, whether you like it or not, is going to be an integral part of the healthcare industry. But please, please do not forget that at the end of the day, I don't like the word healthcare industry. I don't think we are conveyor belts. I don't think we are consumers and clients. I think we are human beings, we are patients. I still would like to think that the doctor 10 years from now practices TLC, tender loving care, and uses M2M as an enabler to achieve an end and not displace the doctor. Thank you very much for inviting me. If the moderator permits, if there is time, I can take a few questions. I mean, your decision.
Medicine, we have the eyes as diagnostic medicine, we have the pulse as diagnostic medicine, Nidana in Ayurveda.
Absolutely.
So you should use all those multimedia methods in the M2M to diagnose.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
Sir, my main question is, since you mentioned that it should be the other way around rather than M2M guys trying to create something for the healthcare ecosystem. What are the imperatives or your expectations from the M2M ecosystem as a healthcare professional?
Right. I think that one of the reasons why M2M has not permeated the healthcare industry, not just in India but worldwide, is the fact that the traditional healthcare provider, that is the doctor, is not being consulted, is not being encompassed, is not part of the team which develops all these fantastic devices you are doing. So with all respects to the brilliant technological minds, I attend so many conferences dealing with technology, with M2M, etc. And in one M-Health conference in Washington, there were 3,500 delegates, and out of which there were 20 doctors who were practicing. So 3,500 technologists decided what is the future of healthcare for the world in a 4-day conference. This to me sounds not the right way.
So Ganpati, I also wanted to know how much of this can actually reach the masses, because what all you told were very special extreme cases. but the
yes, sir.
mass level health delivery,
Yes, sir.
particularly in the villages, because people don't have doctors in the PHCs. So how do we reach medical care to the remotest villages and poorest of the poor?
A very good question. Again, the cell phone is a typical example. The first phone which I bought maybe 15 years ago or something, the functionality was 1% of what I have now, and I probably pay 20 times for that now. So with mass production, with increased utilization, certainly the cost will come down. And as per the government, whichever government is going to come in by 2020, as per the National Telecom Bill of India, which is waiting to be passed, 100% of India's citizens are going to have access to information and communication technology by 2020. So mass utilization, costs will come down, and people need to be convinced that this is not a gimmick. Right now, a lot of people in the healthcare industry feel that this is a gimmick and that multinational companies, to increase their revenues, are pressurizing us, forcing us to get into this. The initiative should, like a Quit India movement, I should go on strike and I say, I want this device. Until that happens, I don't think it's really going to take off.
But that brings us to another question, that when doctors themselves are not willing to go to the villages for the healthcare delivery, how do you expect technocrats and technology ecosystem to
sir,
go down that? That is the first challenge that you guys have to look at.
I'll answer you very simply. Yeah. Today, geography has become history. Geography has become history. I don't have to go to the villages. No, but I can get the villager on a big screen. I can get him on my phone.
See, it's easier said than done. We still need paramedics, or we still need some people who understand something. Absolutely. The interface between the masses and the technology or the healthcare services, whatever.
Agreed. So we are
missing. That breed is missing.
You are absolutely right. Excellent point. We are just given a proposition to the government. We have recently been asked to provide healthcare through internet-enabled kiosks. You know about the CSC, Common Service Center, DITI, Government of India, Department of Electronics. So we have given a proposal to, a beautiful word you used, to create a new breed called Rural Healthcare Facilitator. Yes. We have designed the course content, but then the government is still, the papers are held up. So we hope to design and train, you're absolutely right, a new entity called Rural Healthcare Facilitator, who belongs to the community, who is in the community. There is no way that I'm going to go and live in a village. But you're absolutely right.
Sure. Thanks.
Sir, there is one question. Do you have any e-health course curriculum so that the e-doctors can be prepared?
Yeah, sorry, I don't know. I started a telehealth technology course 7 years ago with Anna University. We ran 5 courses and then stopped it because I'm not able to give employment. The simple thing is it's not commercially viable, and unless we give employment, people are not willing to pay fees. There is no such thing as a free lunch. If you are prepared to give me a couple of lakhs of rupees to run the course, I will do it tomorrow morning. So that's the problem.
I have a question, sir, Dr. Ganapathy. It's a very exciting field. Just one question. Do you have any insight on what would the policy perspectives, to make this M2M ubiquitous or pervasive? What do you think from the point of view of...
We have a long way to go. Forget M2M. Even telemedicine, telehealth, e-health, digital health, it's happening. But we are a long way to go from policy. There are no regulations. There are no rules. I give consultation outside India. I give consultation all over India. I don't know whether I'm breaking any law. But there is no law which says I can't do it. There's no law which says I can do it. So I think in my lifetime, I don't think we are going to get regulations on M2M in India.
So we need to come up with white papers.
Yeah.
Yes.
For the policy.
And since the industry is obviously much more powerful than the poor doctor at the other end, I suggest that you please take the initiative to do this.
Thank you, sir. Great.
Thanks. Thanks for the power-filled talk, Dr. Ganapathy. And yeah, please. I think as you told that we probably would need to, have devices which will probably remind you for your medicine. I just missed mine, so I think I'll be the first one to buy one such device. So whenever it is ready. So, but some of the key aspects that he has touched upon is the security in this field, and I think this is going to be one of the major challenge for the policy initiatives as well as for the people who are working in this particular domain. And I think we'll touch upon those aspects during the course of the day. And for now, I would like to Shilpi? Yeah. Yeah, so I would like to invite Mr. R.M. Agrawal to present a memento to Dr. Ganpati. Please. Please.
Once again, my sincere thanks to the previous two speakers, Dr. Agarwal and Dr. Rajkumar, for very kindly agreeing to let me be the first speaker.
I would like to say something because I am dealing in the policy, so a lot of good things are going on in policy formulation, and of course, definitely you would see all those developments in next 1 to 2 years only. And of course, we have already formed one policy group on medical also. It is most invited. We are going to have meeting on 24th of December. Yeah, we will invite you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Mr. Agrawal and Dr. Ganpati. So moving further, I would like to invite Mr. Agrawal, turning M2M and IoT vision to a reality, which is like technology challenges and the policy challenge that we are going to have. And Department of Information and Technology is already active in this field, and they had done a survey, I think few months ago, which is already going on. And to tell you about Dr. Agrawal, he is Deputy Director General at Network and Security in DIT, and before that he was also part of the standardization Department of Telecom. I'm sorry. Yeah, so before this he was also part of the standardization body, and he is already through that process. He is one of the key contributor for the IPv6 second stage, which is going to roll out, and he presented the roadmap last year. And I would like to invite him and speak about M2M and the policy initiative in this particular domain. Please.
A very good morning to you all. Thank you very much for giving me a chance to be a part of this important event. And of course, my apologies for being late because of some urgent work at home. My daughter was ill, that's why I got delayed. So my sincere apologies for the same. And of course, because the time allotted is 20 minutes, but I would finish in 7 to 8 minutes time. I would try to cover all those things. So definitely I need not to go into details ki why M2M, what is the initial things from internet, broadband, telecom infrastructure, and different things going on in the private sectors. Because Dr. Ganpati has given a nice start, and I would really appreciate the good work being done in the healthcare sectors. And definitely, as we were not aware about these good works done in the private sectors, so definitely industry is also not aware what the work is being done in the government as far as policy is concerned, as far as policy formulation and implementations are concerned. So we are trying to bring industry and government together, and I will appreciate the forums like this are doing a very good job. So definitely these things should continue, and we must be at the same platform so that these things can be discussed and can be proliferated throughout the country. So now coming to the point, because internet is the basic need for M2M or anything connected devices to proliferate. So that's why Government of India is doing much emphasis for internet penetrations, broadband penetrations. So coming to the broadband target set by Government of India, I'm just giving the background, just little background in 1 minute time, then I will come to the policy formulation, what is being done in the policy formulation. So as far as broadband penetration is concerned, right now, what to talk of broadband penetration in the rural area, in the vast area, not of Delhi, Bombay, Chennai and Calcutta, we don't have power supply, we don't have roads, we don't have water, we don't have so many essential items. So first priority to make these things, M2M and other things, practical in the rural India. Once we talk of the rural health, but first the person should have the proper power supply. Only then his devices can work. So definitely this is the other sector on which government DOT is taking up the respected ministry. So definitely we cannot, a single department cannot do everything. But these are the infrastructure issues which we need to take it up with the appropriate state government and central government level, which we are taking up at our level. But definitely broadband penetration and internet penetrations and rollout quality of service is the priority, is the key areas being governed by being looked after by the Department of Telecommunications. So accordingly, department has laid out the ambitious plan of connecting more than 250,000 panchayat on optical fiber network through the National Optical Fiber Network, and we are on it, and definitely all the gram panchayat would be connected on the optical fiber network by in next another 1.5 years time. Some delays there, but definitely because of some issues, delays there. So in another 2 years time, we will see that all the gram panchayats are connected on the broadband. So once gram panchayats, villages are connected on the broadband, only then truly M2M services can proliferate in the rural area, whether it's a healthcare, whether it's a education, whether it's a connected car, whether it's a power grid. So many sectors are there. So this is the first thing. And of course, as Dr. Ganapathy pointed out, 17 billion devices right now are there in the world today. And of course, we foresee it to be more than 50 billion in next 4 to 5 years time. Definitely India will have a major share of it. But right now we do have only around 34 million IP addresses. So how those devices would work independently, how these devices would be secured, because M2M is already having a very vulnerable type of things also. Right now, our things are not secure. Once all devices are connected together and we do have private addresses, so definitely some issues may be there, and we need to have the independent IP addresses to make it future-proof, to make it more secured. And that's why IP address policy is very much required by the government. And we do have already IPv6 policy in place. Government of India have already come out with 2 roadmaps. Timelines of IPv6 adoption in the country have been in place. And we are already, as per timelines, all our ecosystem partners. So that is the second thing. Broadband penetration, first thing. The second thing is the IP addresses. And third thing is, of course, is the quality of services. Once my patient is in the village, once my I want to connect with important device in the village or some other area, but in case if connection doesn't work, so reliability is the third factor. So quality of service is the another factor which we are aiming at. So these 3 things are the basic requirements for any system, for any working of any good system. So now coming to the machine-to-machine, Internet of Things. So these terms are being used interchangeably. Definitely, we do have different definitions from the ITU, from M2M, one M2M alliance, and of course other type of destination bodies are also there. So Government of India have already pointed out importance of M2M implementation in the country in our National Telecom Policy 2012. We have already said that yes, there is a lot of socio-economical advantage in adoption of the M2M services. We have specifically pointed out that remotely controlled irrigation pumps, and of course e-health, e-education, we have also talked of in those our National Telecom Policy. So taking start from National Telecom Policy, and with the help of the industry, we have formulated 2 committees. One committee of the senior government executives and officials, including the public sectors also, and the other one with the industry. So these 2 committees are having regular meetings, and with the consultation of the industry partners, we have already firmed up around 27 questions. So 27 questions covering all the policy issues, all the regulatory issues, all the what is happening in the world and how to adopt, how to take these things forward in the country as well as worldwide, so that India may be the lead, India may take lead in all these sectors. So we have got very good responses out of these 27 questions. Number of issues have been reflected to us. More than 50 responses from service providers, from health care devices manufacturers, from industries, different industries have been pointed out to us. And of course, what's the priority of the government? So health connected cars, braking of the cars, and of course this transportation systems, education systems, and irrigations, agricultures. So some of the projects were given priority. Government should think of all these things. But definitely, smart grid is, of course, is one of the major priority for government to adopt, because we are a power deficient country, and once adoption of the smart grid can take us to a great savings of the power in the power sector. So taking cue from all these things, number of issues have already been pointed out. Right now, SIM cards have been issued to the individuals, to the human beings, but no norms are there for the machines. In connected cars, our SIM card is fitted in the machines. But as Dr. Ganpati very rightly said, we don't know whether we are complying the rule or we are breaking the rule. But because there is once there is no rule, so we think we are as per rule, no issue. But definitely once, right now, SIM card is given to the human being, not to the machine. Service providers are giving SIM cards to the transporters or to the some associations. They are giving to the individual vehicles, and in case if some thing takes place, so who is responsible? It means some law is being broken. So KYC norms is the first thing, first priority as far as regulation is required. So similarly, we have I think prioritized around 10 to 12 items. As per these priorities, we need to take actions. So KYC, lately we do have one M2M conference in Jawaharlal Nehru University itself. So there I was given the impression that this KYC norm is the first priority which government should pay attention. And of course, interoperability of the devices, networks, because in case if my device is running on the proprietary protocols, so it may not be scalable. Like true example of these things are Smart Grid Forum, with the help the Ministry of the Power, is coming out with 14 pilot projects. But these 14 pilot projects were on different standards, but on proprietary standards. Later on, in case if we do want to interconnect all these things, they may not be interoperable, they may not be scalable. So we have pointed out them, and of course, Ministry of Power is seriously considering adoption of interoperable systems so that it may be scalable. We have seen the pilot projects. I am very happy to listen these things. There are more than pilot projects than the Indian Air Force pilot. But definitely, government now have to take these pilots from the pilot stand to the actual stage, so that actual benefit may be given to the consumers. So, in the power sector, I must say, government have already taken initiatives, and by year 2020, 200 million smart meters are supposed to be there. So once 200 million smart meters are to be there, so definitely it has to be as per rules. Some policy has to be there so that things may be taken care of. The issues which may come up later on may be taken care of. Right now, things are coming in bits and pieces in the industry, in the government sectors, in other sectors. So department now is very much seized of all these issues. I am not going to talk all these issues because I have talked of these issues at different forums. KYC norms is there, interoperability issues are there, spectrums issues are there, and of course SIM portability. Number portability is there, but SIM portability still is not there. In case if I want the same number, but of course I need to replace my SIM card. But in case if device is embedded and being imported from some other country, then definitely in case if we need to change the very purpose of the M2M fails here. So all these issues, I am very happy to note it that most of the issues have been included in our terms of references, and those are not being taken care of worldwide. I should thanks to all my industries and Indian persons who is involved in these things. So, but now it is the turn of the government of India who have to take a call, and we need to have some numbering systems also. as per our mobile systems, as per our, once my device is India and my friends is there in some other country, in case if we do want to have, as we can talk as a human being, so our devices should also be connected. So for that purpose, some common numbering system should also be there. So for that purpose, we are taking up this case with the ITUT, because of course we can make policy, India-specific policy, but we cannot have influence over them. So ITUT is the body who makes, 1-2M Alliance is the body who are the global bodies. So we are taking up these things at the proper global forum also, so that whatever we are doing, it should have a proper, appropriate uniformity at the international level also. So, but in our interoperable issues, standards issues, and numbering plans issues, these Telecom Engineering Center is the body of the Government of India, and Telecom Engineering Center have already set up 5 groups. The one group is on gateways, the other one is on the health sector, and of course agriculture sectors. About 5 sectors are there, but definitely I am sure health sector is very much there. So I would request all the doctors, all the respected doctors who are into M2M services, including Dr. Ganpati, to please take active participations and please come with their expertise, so that standards, so that all the issues can be taken care of, standards can be formed up. Because while formation of the standards, it is not like that we need to have standards on common standards for all the industries. We need to have some umbrella standards, and definitely for different sectors, different standards may be there. But definitely, let me assure you, we are not going to play the role of the restrictive government player. We are going to play the facilitator, so that whatever is required from the government, only government will intervene in those matters. Whatever is required from the industry as an open market, definitely will leave it to the industry. But just as I told you, security is the issue, KYC is the issue, standards is the issue, so that numbering plan is the issue. So these are some of the key things which I want to share. Ki government, we are doing it, and as an industry partners, I would request you all to please proliferate these things. It is not possible for us, a small team of us, to go everywhere and proliferate all these things India-wide. I not say worldwide. Definitely worldwide, in case you do it, most welcome. Because I was really sorry and shocked to listen this thing. Ki once Dr. Ganpati said, ki we are not sure ki whether in my lifetime standards would come or policy would come, but I'm sure it is going to come in next 1 year time. Let me assure in the forum itself. Next time, in case if this forum is held here itself, I will declare now these standards are there. And I would request you all to please proliferate all these things, good points of these policies, and whatever inputs. I'm not an M2M man. Let me tell you very frankly, that's why I attend these things. Whatever government assigns me, I start doing that thing. I was assigned IPv6. Definitely, I was into IPv6, and we brought 2 roadmaps, and now it is implementation stage. Similarly, now we are deep into M2M. We understand policy, we understand practicing things in different sectors, and accordingly, we understand from the industry requirement and accordingly act on it. But definitely, a meeting of the government officials with the industry is very much required. Policies cannot be formed in isolations. The policy, with the help of the industries, only then it will serve the true purpose. So I think now I have already exceeded my time. So I'll stop myself here, and definitely I am available throughout the day. And my office is in Sanchar Bhavan. Anybody, anytime, most welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Agarwal. And I'm sure that the government is taking these steps, and pretty soon we'll have these standards in place. And some of the things that he has touched upon is that the disconnect between the industry, public and private initiatives. I think there's something that has to converge, and we need to move forward on those aspects. With this, I would like to invite Mr. Luke Rajkumar for the M2M ecosystem, the real scenario, and the key M2M applications. Mr. Rajkumar is the CEO and the whole-time director of Anantara Solutions Private Limited. And he has approximately 25 years of diverse experience, global experience in IT industry, and he's been into the bodies like CII and Consortium India, and he has played an active role in M&A, joint ventures, and IPO initiatives in general. So I welcome you. Please.
Thank you very much. How do I get the presentation? Okay. Can somebody help me out with the presentation out here, please? In the meantime, set a context. I heard Dr. Ganapathy talk of healthcare. Everybody is extremely passionate about healthcare. He talked about inclusion in terms of the medical fraternity in this revolution. We had Mr. Agarwal. Mr. Agarwal was talking about policies, standards, getting the industry involved. The challenge really is we're at an age and a time where innovation and invention is happening so fast, it's difficult to keep up. So I try to take a step back, try to understand here what I want to present to you is a simple scenario really in terms of how difficult it is to address the challenges in an industry vertical. If you look at M2M globally, really, there's just way too much to talk about.
Got it?
Yes. Which one? I am not sure.
Do you have it in your pen drive?
No, I don't.
What is the title?
It's M2M concept note. Should be not there.
Shilpi is she just लैपटॉप चेंज हुआ है कहाँ दूसरा नहीं वो लैपटॉप था वो सर का था अपना इंडिया में से चलाए थे
Yeah, I can continue. So, apologies on that. So an important aspect which I think I would want to address is that what the world thinks of the definition of M2M. I think many analysts use many different words, different philosophies, and the numbers which you talk of, people talk of 2020 being a market size of $1 billion to $4.5 billion, depending on who's talking at what point and which analyst is talking and what influence is happening. So from that parameter, we are really talking of a stage wherein you're talking of machine to machine, you're talking of machine learning, we're talking of big data, and we're talking of multiple other things. Key aspects which I think people should pay heed is the innovation is happening disruptively, it's happening in silos. It will continue to happen in both disruptively and in silos. And what's also happening is adoption of ideas whose times has come. There have been many, many ideas. We talked of telemedicine. Telemedicine has been going on for 20 years now. For 30, 40 years, I think it started back with the time where the internet was being conceived in the US, similar times. But its application is happening now due to convergence of many things happening in the industry. It's information communication. It's communication in terms of devices getting smaller, smarter, and cheaper. The costs are coming down. Multiple factors which are going to ensure that the proliferation of M2M is going to continue. What we have attempted to present here, and I'm hoping that we'll have the presentation up and running, is we've taken a case study in terms of how this will impact certain industry verticals. Dr. Ganapathy covered in detail about the healthcare areas. I will talk more in terms of transportation and logistics. That really is a challenge in this country. And we are looking at what these opportunities could mean from an India perspective. It's almost there. From an India perspective, and how it is not so very easy to use the different sets of innovation happening across in these areas. So again, I'll come back to what Mr. Agarwal was saying, that in terms of policies and standards and how the industry needs to be engaged with the government, not going to happen. Standards are meant to ensure that there is interoperability, there is seamlessness, there are security norms which are built in, so on and so forth. But at certain times, you may also want to be cautious of pushing standards in too early, because you may end up stymieing the industry and the innovation happening in those areas. Industry needs to interact with the government, there's no questions about it. Update you in terms of what's happening, where, how business and options are. Oops. How do I put this on? Excuse me. Yeah. So really we're talking of applications in particular verticals. We're talking about what kind of technology gaps are there. And what we really are going to talk about is the business potential sectors. And then really in terms of healthcare, I personally am very passionate about it. So I'll put in my 2 words out there at that point in time. Really, you talk of M2M, you're talking of a range of definitions. And if you're talking of the big analyst firms, you're talking about it. The estimates from a revenue perspective range from $1 billion to $4.5 trillion. Some analysts are talking of devices going up to $50 billion. We are talking of 10 billion, 12 billion. And these are not my numbers. These are numbers which the analysts are talking about. The definitions are different. Gartner talks of it as an automated data transmission and measurement devices between mechanical and electrical devices. Not sure. Forrester talks of technology that collect and transfer information on the condition of physical assets or people. Not very sure whether that's the right one. At some point, you'll also have the human interfaces coming on, but I'm not going to dwell too much into this. The only thing I want to say is different people have different perceptions of what M2M is about, what the size of the market is about. Are there opportunities? Absolutely right. And if you look at really again, these are not what just talking about what the world is talking of. If you look at health, it's a spread of smartphone. I think Dr. Ganapathy mentioned that in detail. Absolutely, the cloud is coming in. You will have connectivity and infrastructure is being built. As Mr. Agarwal was saying, in India, we need infrastructure basically. Otherwise, we really can't do that. In transport and logistics is an area wherein there is tremendous scope and opportunity. I think India is bleeding dry, not just because of bad infrastructure on the roads, several other things, which we can really look at where applications can be created, what the gaps are, and how the Indian market could benefit. I'm looking at that more specifically in this presentation. And really, we're talking of the challenges and opportunities in the Indian market. I don't want to talk global. We are here in India. This is the India Forum, and I think you would want to really see where we are. So if you look at even a vertical like transportation and logistics, half as less complex than the healthcare ecosystem or the healthcare industries, you will find out the challenges really. Fundamentally, if you really look at what's happening, what the major challenges, you have inbound logistics, you have manufacturing plant, you warehouse it, you do the logistics outbound, and finally get to the consumer. And you have challenges at every level. At the plant, you can have issues in terms of retention. If your planning is not right, if the communication is not, you have demurrage happening, you have loading, unloading issues happening, you have payment delays, the whole cycle starts. And this is just the start of this thing. So I'll just click you through a slide, then you understand the complexity of where we are. Then if you're talking of limited visibility, the customer doesn't know where his material is, whether it's being manufactured, whether it's sitting at a site, whether it's stuck in transit. How do you do that? And then you have capacity issues. How do you plan that out? You have much different machines being used for different stuff. It becomes terrifying if you really look at one vertical and the challenges which you're talking about. Now, for developing technology applications, now you begin to get a sense in terms of how complex is it, or how simple is it, and how do you do the interface? What machines do you use in order to do that? Do you automate the process? It becomes a challenge. There is a huge opportunity, and coming back, really, if you look at again I'm here talking. Some of you are lay people, some of you are experts in these areas. But if you look at the core players in the ecosystem, each unfortunately has a vested interest. They have fabulous systems like in the healthcare industry. Trust you me, I've seen people who have absolutely brilliant systems which do not communicate with each other. You have clinical systems where millions and billions of dollars have been spent. Similarly, everybody. You're talking of an individual asset owner, maybe very limited access to technology, very limited ways and means of communicating what he has. But if you look at a fleet owner, all the information is there, the systems are there, he's able to track his devices, does not communicate outside. If you look at the market today in India, you have 40 lakh vehicles on the road, you have 2 lakh road operators, 84% of them are small, they're single truck owner, 1-2 truck owners. So how do you really get them into the revolution which can save time, money, etc. and all that, is what we would want to do this. And if you really look at your challenges, you're talking of from a regulatory perspective, from a transporters, there is no single point of, there is no spoken hub model. Talking to a gentleman here who does system designs, there is no systems here in place in the transportation industry. I'm not talking of a computer system, I'm talking of systems and solutions. We don't have anything. It's pointed, it is fragmented, we are bleeding dry, The country is losing money, burning money. Simple things which will come to real in terms of how things can be done. We don't want to talk of big things happening in the world. We really want to understand what is it that is impacting us today. This is an industry which we are all dependent on. We get our foods because of them. We go into work probably because of them. They are as much a part of our life as any other industry vertical is. But it is absolutely scattered. It's tremendously scattered. You really try to narrow it down and tell you really in terms of words rather than the graphics, because sometimes they can throw you off a little bit. We do not sometimes we do not know why customers do not know why things are getting delayed. Costs of transportation, like everything else, keeps going up. Common issues, if you really talk about, there is the losses, if you really look from traffic congestion and idling, is about 300 billion rupees annually. Is there any way using technology to understand and this all works really in terms of what do you say, in a convergent manner? We have people from the smart city councils. So how do you ensure that you really look at connecting up different set of players really to understand where we are and how do we do this? There is there are no levels of SLAs. There's nothing really happening. Even basic technology like RFID, there's very limited kind of areas. So what we are really talking about is what kind of an application. Now pick up a truck here and see how this impacts. Okay, we were talking of we're talking of car communications really, but from a logistics perspective, we really need to be understanding where, what, how, and go ahead with the design. So coming back here, really, we are talking of simple things. If, for example, tire pressure is low, you have a sensor embedded, you can save 20% on a trip's fuel by getting the truck diverted to a fuel stop where you can pump in air, fill in air. It's as simple. The technology is as simple. And the adoption, unfortunately, in a fragmented market, if you really talk a one fleet owner, he's probably driving the truck himself, not coming in, and there the industry needs to play a role, really in terms of understanding, defining, how do we do this? And from the government's perspective, we are losing money. It's revenue leakage of productive time. So I request the government also to consider initiatives, simple initiatives, M2M initiatives, like say tire pressure monitors for trucks. The cost savings are phenomenal there. What happens when you start building in? How do we really look at where we are? And today, if you're really looking at what we perceive, the future should be we should have really a system wherein everybody is able to communicate, and there is going to be, it cannot be a single one-way kind of a street. It has to be an ecosystem, and it has to be an ecosystem wherein not just the government, not just the ancillary players. It's a large, diverse areas of an ecosystem needs to build. See, today, as I said, when I began, I had mentioned that we are in a disruptive time. Technologies are, changing rapidly. There's an explosion of innovation. Also, do understand there is a lot of legal land grabbing happening, and that has to happen. That's the nature of the beast. When technology or a new initiative takes part and creates an economic opportunities, diverse players would want to have a play in that. And again, as Dr. Ganapathy was mentioning, it's always about the bottom line. You look at profitability. You are looking at opportunities in this space. So in this space of convergence, you will find multiple areas, multiple kind of people coming into the ecosystem. Be prepared for that. Healthcare is one ecosystem wherein earlier everybody talked about healthcare as being the purview and the domain of the medical fraternity. Dr. Ganapathy and I will have more conversations on this as we get along in different conferences. Not so anymore. There is a digitization of material, of medicine. There's communication. Your ability to reach out to doctors is different. There are no more home visits. There are electronic visits. You can see a doctor. Doctor himself is connected. Has done in any country if you want it today. So we'll come in over there. But fundamentally, we're looking at again, and I'm now taking this down to a little granular level. Happy to have detailed conversations. If you look at a truck, what do you really want? You would want probably a converged network. Mr. Agala was talking about a mobile embedded within a vehicle. But you need business applications which are different. Then you need interoperable systems. You're talking of standards. No questions about that. And the business apps will be, and always will have multiple players coming and developing it, because no single player can come and say, I will develop 20 different business. Man, that's where as a part of capitalism, you encourage competition, you foster people to develop more innovatively. So we are talking of business apps. Then you need an application infrastructure, you need a network infrastructure, and what we believe is M2M, driven by convergence of networks, will improve efficiencies. It is the convergence of net. We do not see anything else, any other way. Simple example, what we've done is, we are talking of automating simple processes, machine to machine. Weigh bridges, for example, if you see trucks weighing outside, how do you know, how do you interface them with the system? There are nothing happening in those areas. Critical small areas which need to be done. And M2M, we talk of big things, but it's the small things which we really need to address, which could make life easier, could save money. It's innovation, it is not innovation, it's an adoption of ideas. Technologies have become prevalent, the infrastructure has improved. So simple things which you need to go back and figure out how do we do that. And then really ask again from what are the opportunities, part of the keynote is business consulting. I think there's a lot of scope for advisory services. There are a lot of people who are investing in these areas. Then you, again, from a technology perspective, from a device manufacturing perspective, application areas is where you would want to focus on, and then figure out how do we take these areas. These are the opportunities on the services side. So how does somebody get into the business of M2M? These are areas wherein you can potentially get into. I'm not talking of hardware design and development, becomes a different set. Talking from an IT technology perspective, IT, ICT perspective, it's here. And moving on, we just want to cover 5 minutes really in terms of healthcare. The whole world talks of healthcare, and I think on our part we would want to do that. The problem in M2M is devices do not talk. We talked about medical services care. Diagnostic equipment do not talk to clinical systems. Simple challenge. Billions. I've seen large hospitals globally. Sorry about that. Time's running out. They do that. Just a couple of minutes. Then we are looking at Dr. Ganapathy might have spoken to several this thing. M2M hospitals, M2M initiatives in hospitals, unfortunately, are only inward looking. I'm sorry, Dr. Ganapathy, I'm bringing out your point saying that doctors are not being included in the system, really, in terms of this. But in certain areas, if you look at larger plays, the external world where innovation, invention is happening, the ecosystem partners, they are not being involved either. It's too inward looking. A lot of the initiatives in the M2M space are inward looking. What is driving the revolution is the consumerism, where something is in it for me, that's driving and growth is happening out there. But other innovation is not really happening. And then there is a healthcare ecosystem. I would not want to limit it to one particular industry. And we need to differentiate it because you must understand that the business motives of each of these industries are very different. A health insurance industry or an insurance industry, or somebody pays for your insurance. It could be the government, it could be an NGO, whatever it is. They will have different motives and different business philosophies, and they make their profits differently. Hospitals do it differently, device manufacturers do it differently, the pharmaceutical industries do it differently. Need to understand that the convergence of the industry needs to happen. M2M in its simplicity, you're talking of simple applications, will make things work. The larger issue in terms of integrating, having interoperability are separate challenges. Exciting times, I guess, we're talking about when will this happen, and I guess it will happen soon enough. So we're talking how, and I guess with the current innovation, I think we are geared for exciting times, and we'll be ready to go. Thank you very much.